Hi, everyone. This is Andy Dunn. You are joining one of the early episodes of Humble Pie, a podcast where we talk about the times in life when we fell flat on our face and how we picked ourselves back up. Here today with Cate Luzio, who's just an extraordinary entrepreneur and, more importantly, human being. She's the founder of Luminary and has been building that with both passion and purpose and a bit of pain. So welcome, Cate, to the pod.
Thanks. I'm so excited to be here.
So let's dive right in. I want to get into some of those rock bottom moments in life or just the challenges. And why don't we start with that moment when you were at JP Morgan and you were making a decision to move on from there. What was that moment like? Because you had this incredible career as a banker. You had one more chapter in you, but that was, you mentioned that was hard for you. Tell us about that.
Yeah, it was really hard. I spent 14 years between Bank of America and JP Morgan. And this is someone who didn't start in finance, right? So I got recruited into it, never thought it was going to be something that I did. And I fell in love. I fell in love with the people. I fell in love with the business and the clients. And JP Morgan was just an incredible opportunity. It's an amazing firm. It still is. And when I was being recruited by my last chapter in finance, at least for this time, HSBC, it was a tremendous opportunity to build and add people. But there was something with JP Morgan that I was really struggling with. In particular, I had a phenomenal boss.
Yeah. Tell us about that.
Most demanding boss I've ever had in my life.
Yeah.
Took a lot of credit from everyone else. But you always knew where you stood. And he always, with me in particular, I think, saw that even if I didn't know, I would figure it out. And so there were so many moments of learning and education and challenge that he gave to me that in those moments, I didn't realize it. It wasn't until I could reflect. And when I left, I felt a lot of guilt that I was leaving him. Yeah. He and I were building this great business together.
And how did he handle that? Did he enhance or decrease your guilt?
He definitely enhanced the guilt.
Yeah.
I think, listen, when you're at a senior level in any of these firms, they're going to try to do as much as they can if they value you to stay, to keep you. And he called me and said, you got to give us a shot to keep you. And next day I'm on a plane back to New York because I was living in London. And a very long story short, I walk in the room thinking it's going to be his boss, and it actually was Jamie Dimon.
You didn't tell me that.
Yeah. And how do you say no to Jamie Dimon?
How do you say no to Jamie Dimon?
I rescinded my resignation.
Okay. Which makes sense.
Yep.
How long was the meeting, and what did Jamie say, or was just Jamie's presence the factor?
Well, I had met Jamie on a number of occasions, and it was his presence, it was his passion for the business, for what I was contributing. And his view was there's a lot more for you to do here.
Yeah.
And he was right.
Yeah.
But if I had wanted to do what I wanted to do, I would have had to move back to the US at that time.
And you were living?
I was living in London.
Yeah.
And I really loved international side of the business versus domestic.
You had like dozens of countries at some point reporting into you.
Yeah, when I left and went to HSBC, I had a global role. So I had every
How many
region.
people were working
in that role? I had
time?
over 3,000.
Okay.
At JP Morgan, I had about 50, and that was a lot. I had Europe, Middle East, and Africa, and I get off that plane. I call my boss. I'm like, "Well, I'm staying," and he's like, "Amazing. We don't have to tell everyone now." The certain higher ups knew, but then a few months later, it was still in my gut.
It was still
just there.
And what was that thing like? What was that thing that gave you the courage to make the move?
Well, HSBC kept calling.
Okay.
Number one. Number two, it was, do I really want to challenge myself? Again, going from 50 people to several thousand, going from a $750 million business to billion plus, and really getting deep and narrow with a firm that's what HSBC was at the time. It was deep and narrow in every country, and I loved it. I wanted that challenge. That's why I left. I really wanted to push myself, and I knew that those jobs at JP Morgan at the time just didn't exist. And so a few months later, I went back into my boss's office.
Yeah.
Jose, if you're listening. And I just said, and he just knew. And he said,
he gave up.
Yeah, he just said, you got to, if this is what you
want
to do, you got to do it. And still in touch with him. He's since left JP Morgan as well, and he's at another firm. But it was really hard. And then I had garden leave, which in banking is...
Yeah, what's garden leave? That sounds nice. Is that like
it's great.
go meditate in
You
a Japanese
have,
garden?
depending on your level, and if you have what's called a material risk taker, all of these things I'm not going to get into. Usually, you will have between 3 to 6 months of you cannot engage in the new firm. You can't talk to employees. You can't talk to clients. So it's
Yeah.
meant to not allow you to poach
Right.
or to go after clients for your new role.
But you had taken the new role at that point.
Yeah.
Like that's normal
Yeah, and your prior firm pays for that.
for the garden leave. Okay.
So I had
So
3
basically
months.
like paying you not to compete kind
That's
of.
exactly what it is.
Okay.
So I had 3 months of that, and then started with HSBC, and it was great. I had a phenomenal role building all of these incredible people around the world.
3,000 people. How do you manage 3,000 people? I think that sounds probably crazy to some of the people watching and listening. Like, how do you do that?
So I have a knack for connection. I think that is one of my superpowers. And whether it's at the top level all the way down, I think personally, as close to a photographic memory that you can get without having a photographic memory. So I had regional managers in every region, and then you go as deep as you possibly can. So every time I traveled, which was 3 weeks of every month, I would meet clients, I would meet my managers, and then I would do roundtables with
So you were on the road a
all
ton.
the time. Yeah.
Okay. And then, I don't know, X years from then, you made another decision to leave.
Yeah, 4
And
years
to
later.
start Luminary. Tell us about that moment and tell us about Luminary.
So never, ever, if you had asked me the day before I wrote the business plan, literally, I would never have said I would have started my own company. And even when I wrote the business plan, I sort of waffled around, is this really what I want to do? So I had met with a mentor of mine who knew me from JP Morgan, fabulous mentor, still a mentor. And I was in this inflection moment. Do I go back to one of the predecessor banks? I won't name names. That was where I was heading. And he just looked at me. We had met for drinks, and he said, "Are you really sure this is what you want to do? Just trade one big bank again for another? Are you really going to have the impact that you want to have?" And the one thing that he knew about me in my career at JP Morgan and then at HSBC, and on the side of my desk, I did a lot around women's mentorship and next generation. He's like, "You want to have impact. Can you do that? Or are you just another cog in the wheel?"
Yeah.
And I thought he was crazy because I made a lot of money, but I had never thought about it.
In terms of impact?
No, in terms of, can I do something else?
Yeah.
Here I was, almost 2 decades in it, and I loved it, but I'm a typical Gen Xer. So it's the next thing. It's the next thing.
Gen X.
Gen X, yes, proud Gen X. And I kind of went home and had a conversation with he's my partner, my boyfriend, and he's like, "Yeah, that is you. You want to have impact in everything that you do." And a few weeks later, I quit.
A few weeks later?
Yeah.
So how did that go so fast? I mean, the first time you hear someone kind of nudging you along.
It's like, couldn't.
And then 2 weeks later, you're like, let's do it.
So I'm an all-in kind of person. I cannot, I've never been someone that could do a side hustle. Didn't even know what a side hustle was until I became an entrepreneur. But I knew that if I really wanted to figure out what that next thing was, I had to go all in on figuring that out. And of course, day one of that.
Already been thinking about it, I guess.
I wasn't. I was like, what am I doing? I remember thinking, I'm just going to go back to banking. I'm just going to become a free agent, or maybe go work in, private equity. And then I had all these great clients. Maybe I could go do something working with clients. And a few weeks, not about 6 weeks in, I'd have to go back, time check, but I was at an event and it was just not impactful. And we spent so much time. We have precious amounts of time. And so when I give of my time, I want it to be worthwhile. I want it to have impact for me. And it just didn't. And I remember my boyfriend was traveling, and I called him, and he said, "Write it down." And I said, "Write what down? I'm venting to you." He's like, "I think you have an idea that could be put on paper that could turn into something."
And where were you? And where did you go?
I was in the city, in New York City. He was traveling somewhere in the world. He's also in finance. And I went back to my apartment, and I literally wrote for 2 weeks a business plan. And I had been running businesses for...
Was that joyful?
I love learning. So this is like, I don't even know what I'm thinking about here, but there's something there around connection and community. It was in me. It was already there. I didn't even know that's what I was doing sort of in my career outside of running the business.
Yeah.
But I was always focused on bringing people together, bringing clients together, connecting people, connecting the dots for them, and bringing solutions. And so that really started me thinking, once I started to do research, and I think market research is so important and so underestimated and undervalued for business owners, is like, what's out there that exists today? And once I did that, and WeWork was a client of mine. I knew what WeWork was. I didn't want to build a WeWork, but I understood the fundamental of bringing people together. So how do you do that differently, more organically, not just around entrepreneurs and coworkers? What about everybody else that's not an entrepreneur? What about the people that I worked for the last 20 plus years? Yeah. And how do we do it where it doesn't matter how much money you make or what you look like or where you went to college or what you do, but we come together under this idea that we're all trying to build something. That's our brand, that's our path, et cetera. And you can do it. And that was it. And then I had a 50-page business plan that then I did my financial projections and was like
any good banker would do.
Yep. And then I said, I don't need to raise money. I don't want to go out and raise money. I want to prove that this is a valuable business. If I ever do raise, then I want to have that it's a profitable and sustainable business model. Yeah. And here we are 6 years later.
I want to come back to Luminary in great depth, but let's go back in time a little bit to young Cate growing up. I know sports were a big part of your upbringing, and that you did some kind of pioneering things in your day and age. Tell us about sports growing up.
So in my personal life, pre-Cate work, I go by Katie. So little Katie, I have a brother on each side, and my dad was very smart when we were young, threw us into sports. Yeah. Smarter than we knew. Why? It's leadership, it's discipline, it's activity, it's socialization, and I loved it, right? I have a younger brother who's a year younger, so we were basically like twins. And so everything that we did was together. So every sports team we played was together. No girls' teams back then.
Yep.
And it wasn't until my freshman year of high school in Matawan, New Jersey.
Okay.
And very multicultural.
Big public school, small?
Big public school. Okay. Very multicultural. It's where we grew up, although my parents are from Ohio originally. And I'm trying out for the boys' team. There was no girls' soccer team.
Okay, soccer.
And they're like, you can't try out. I said, but I've only been playing with boys. The state team.
Who told you that? Who's the person?
You weren't allowed.
And that's like team. You're talking to the coach of the team or something?
The team, the principal.
Okay.
And I said, well, this is ridiculous. And I came home and my dad said, well, you got to do something. So pick another sport. So I ran track just to stay in shape. I played basketball and
because they had girls basketball.
Yeah, girls basketball. Yes, not great, but yes. And my dad said, why don't you just start your own team? And there was another girl, Dina, who's a still friend of mine. She came from another school district, and she had played soccer. There were not that many girls at the time playing soccer. And we went to the principal, and they said, if you want to do this, you're going to have to go to the school board, get petitions, sign, whatever. We said, great, we'll do that. We literally created a team out of nothing. We were going to girls going, hey, do you know what soccer is? Have you ever played it? I remember one of my good friends, Heather, she's like, I'm not playing this. I don't know how to play it. I'm like, you'll be the goalie. And we got this team together. We went to the school board and they approved
Going door to door, getting
signatures in school, parents, everything.
And what about the money? How'd you get the money for it? How'd you find a coach for it? How did that work?
So we had to find a coach, and Mr. Vogler, our woodshop teacher. And he's like,
got some time on his hands.
I'll do it,
wood
right?
shop, let's do it.
But when we got the permission from the school board, they said, you don't have any money.
Yeah.
So you have to raise money for your uniforms. So we held a bake sale.
No way.
And it was kind of funny. I think back now, like these girls that want to start a sports team and we're doing a bake sale. But that's how you raise money back then.
Some irony in there somewhere.
2 years later, we were doing Jello wrestling and pudding wrestling. And we raised money to buy these like secondhand uniforms. They were awful. But we did it. And our first inaugural year would have been my sophomore year of high school.
Yeah.
And, for me, looking back now, and I know my dad saw this, was like leadership, connection, discipline. She can do this.
Yeah. Was he even a little surprised, though, when this got pulled? I mean, this is pretty incredible. Or was he more the kind of dad where he was like, that's exactly what my daughter would do?
So he's an FBI agent.
Okay.
And he wasn't around as much because he had a very tough job.
Do you know what he was doing, or is
Mafia,
that still...
narcotics, organized crime?
And were you aware that he was doing something maybe a little dangerous at that time, or no
My
clue?
mom really kept it pretty.
Okay.
We knew he was an FBI agent. We knew
Yeah.
that, but I never really thought about it until I got older and realized, okay, there's danger in what he does.
Yeah.
But no, they sort of shielded it. But he wasn't there every night for dinner.
Yeah.
But he was there on the weekends, and it was all about practice. It was all about practicing, getting better, being the best, giving it your best shot in school and in athletics. So I think that was his sort of MO when I said, well, there's no team. I guess I'm just going to run track. No offense to track. And he's like, no, but that's not what you want to do.
Yeah.
And you can do this. And your school told you what you needed to do. So go do it.
And where was your mom in this? What was her?
Oh, she's a huge supporter. She has always been, you can do anything.
Yeah.
And if you decide that you want to run track, I'll support you. If you end up getting this soccer team, I'll support you. And if it doesn't happen, I'm going to make you feel better about it. So she's always been like that, and she still is. She's the person I call almost every day to this day, or text.
She must love that. That is a dream.
Well, I don't know. I say to people all the time, I don't have a therapist. She's kind of my therapist. But I think she's that now for both my brothers and myself. So they were instrumental. And once I did that, and it's funny, 20 years to the day, or the year, I was living in London. I don't even think my dad will remember this. I'm living in London. It's like 3:00 in the morning London time. And my phone rings. And, when you're startled at that, I see that it's my dad or it's my parents. And you think immediately the worst. My dad says, "You're never going to believe it. Madawan girls soccer team just won the state championship."
No way.
Yeah. And he's like, "And that's all thanks to you."
Beautiful.
Yeah. So it really wasn't. I mean, obviously they've gotten better, but
it
was
is.
so wonderful for him to recognize that. And
But did you feel good too when you heard that?
well, not at 3:00 in the morning.
So what I'm noticing about young Katie is courageous, independent-minded, and you saw something missing, or you were nudged to see it and you were like, I'm going to put this in the world. Do you think those traits are innate or learned or somewhere in between? Where did that come from?
I think a lot of it comes from my parents. My dad, my mom came from a family of 7 children, my dad of 6. Neither of them, super well off, middle class families. My grandfather was an entrepreneur.
It's interesting though, because I think a lot of people watching this, listening to this, probably are wondering like, can I do this now? Is it too late for me? And so I think your story is so instructive in that you were doing something that was a more conservative path, but you were trailblazing that path as a woman in finance.
Yep.
And you still like found the gumption at some point to be like, I'm going to leave all that money behind and I'm going to do this new thing. Let's go back to young Katie though. You mentioned to me that you went through something really traumatic as a teenager. Would you be open to talking about that?
Sure. Talk about rock bottom.
Yeah.
So I think part of growing up in a family where it is super competitive and you got to be the best and do the best, you want to be an overachiever and you become this type A perfectionist. That's just, I think that's what happens. And there's no shade in that. I'm so glad that that's who I have become.
Yeah.
But I was sexually assaulted when I was 14 by someone that I knew. Yeah. And I was so ashamed that it was my fault that here I am. I'm supposed to be this amazing kid doing all these great things.
Yeah.
And I didn't talk about it or even say it out loud until I was 32.
And so who knew at that time?
No one. I never told a single. The only person that knew was the person that did it. And they were a friend.
Yeah.
And so it was, and I just jammed it down. Because you just, as somebody who was raised by my parents, you keep going. Yeah. You fall down, you brush yourself off, and you walk it off. That's an athlete, right? And so that's what I did. I just jammed it down, and it wasn't until my early 30s that I was going through something, and that moment of being 14 and going through that and not being able to share, and I finally had to tell my parents. And I called. They didn't live in the same town.
At this
anymore.
point, you're in your early 30s.
I lived in Maryland.
And tell us a little bit about the journey of talking about it. So what happened at that time in your life, or what was going on that it enabled you to kind of move to that place of, okay, I can have this conversation with myself about it and then
It was a
others.
major breakup in my life, personally. And I was, by the way, at this point, my career in banking is taking off.
You're cooking professionally.
Cooking professionally, traveling. I just was loving it. And this breakup really just hit me hard.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a lot that came up in that I think I'd never fully worked through. I never had gone to therapy because I was embarrassed and thought that was shameful.
Yeah.
And I can just move through this, right? I'm tough.
Yeah.
And I remember telling my parents, and it was difficult. And I remember one of the first things that I said is, please don't tell my brothers. Because there's that, I don't want to be seen as weak. Like, and I don't want to talk about this.
I thought it was going to be because they were going to kill the guy.
That could have been probably underlying as well,
right.
Especially my younger brother. But they now know, and they've known. And I think part of why, and then I didn't talk about it really again.
Yeah.
Until the last couple of years, because it's not a natural point of conversation.
Yeah.
But I was watching what was happening in the world and reproductive rights being taken away from women. And I was like, I can't even imagine looking back at Cate 14, if that assault had gone differently and I'd gotten pregnant, what would I have done? Mm-hmm. And so that was the moment that I sort of started talking about again.
Yeah.
And I think I've also had to deal with a lot of feelings around that I've never had to. And I think now I turned 50 about a month and a half ago, that now is the time, because and you know this, the more you don't deal with things, it is like a cancer growing inside of you and or your relationships. And so now I just have to be comfortable when I share it. Yeah. It's not easy. And if people are uncomfortable, that's not my shit. That's theirs.
Yeah. And you now mentor so many people, so many women. What would you say to 14-year-old Cate if you could talk to her at that? What would you say to someone that's just been through something so horrific?
Find the person you trust most in the world.
Yeah.
And that would have been my mom. Mm-hmm. And I wish that I had told her then, because I think she could have been in a tremendous amount of support. Yeah. And got me the help that I needed. Yeah. And didn't need, and even if she didn't know what to do, I mean, she's a teacher. I mean, that's where I get my innate ability to want to mentor and teach is because of her.
Did you come close to telling her or not even?
Yeah. Oh, no.
So you go through this breakup and that was when you were like, I'm going to go into therapy. Were you intending to talk about this at that time? Or did it come up as was it the first session you were in, or were you like 10 sessions deep?
No, it was pretty early on in those conversations, because I was trying to repair I thought I can repair this relationship if I fix myself. Yeah. Right. It's so much of that. We think it's about us fixing ourselves versus it may not just be ourselves. It could be also that other person.
Oh, I always blamed the other person.
Of course, that's what you do, right? It's not me.
Yeah.
And then it was definitely in those sessions, and I thank that therapist for even, bringing that out.
Yeah, this is a pretty good therapist, maybe, or I don't know.
Yeah, she was. Yeah, she was. And part of that therapy was you have to talk about it with the people that love you, and those people were, again, at the time, there was a very small number of people that I wanted to talk about this to, and social media is nothing then. So that wasn't something that I would have even thought about, but having those conversations with my parents. And then I think if I remember correctly, my mom did talk to my brothers rather than me doing it.
So she did it because she just was going to do it, or she had your blessing to do it at some point?
I can't even remember. You go through those parts of that initial trauma and you're just talking. And so I think I was embarrassed. Again, it's like when you're a girl and you get your first bra and you have brothers, you don't want them to know you're wearing a bra. I didn't. So I kind of like it. I know that's minimizing it, but it's just, they saw me always as this tough kid, and I didn't want to be seen as that. And I'm over that now.
And did it bring you some relief then when you knew that everyone knew, when you had the conversation with your parents? Or was it what you expected, where you thought for somehow it would make you seem weaker? Or what was your actual experience?
Yeah,
of it
I think
once-
I remember sitting in my house thinking, I can't believe I just told them I feel even weaker now,
Mm,
but I'll get over that because that's what the therapist said.
Yeah.
You have to get it out and you will through it and you will get over it. And there's medication,
hmm
which I'm a big proponent of medication. And so went on antidepressants and
Yeah.
I needed something to help fix or regulate the moods as you're dealing with that. And I had a big job. And so it was a really great learning process for
Yeah.
me. And am I over what happened to me when I was 14? No, I'll never be over that. And I have to give myself grace for that and say there are big triggers for me in the world when I hear about someone who was raped, a movie. It's hard, but I know that I can do hard things,
Yeah.
so I can move through that.
And once you talked about it, what was the first time you talked about it publicly? What was the forum? What was that moment like?
I believe it was the 2020. Oh wait, when did the current president first run?
2016.
That's 2016.
And what happened then? Because this is another level of disclosure. It's not parents, it's, the wider public. What was your
Actually,
experience
no.
of that?
I don't think so because I was not as active on social media, and that's where I used the platform. So I actually think it was must have been during the pandemic or the second election where when Biden won. I think that's when I did. And
Yeah.
then certainly when Roe v. Wade was being rolled back, that was a terrible time.
Yeah. And Instagram, you put it out there.
Put it on Instagram.
And what did that feel like? And what was the
Very
reception?
scary.
Yeah.
Very scary.
Terrifying.
When you share personal things that are tough, the response was incredible.
It was incredible. Tell us about that.
People I didn't even know,
Yeah.
right, that follow me. I'm not a big look into who's following me. I just kind of put out what I think I'm what you see is what you get. And so, and they're my opinions. These are not the opinions of someone else or my company. And it was an overwhelming response of either this happened to me. I've never dealt with it. It's so thankful for you for sharing I'm going to share this with my daughter. I hope she never has to go through this or my niece. And that's partly why I don't have children, but I have 10 nieces and nephews and another one on the way. And half of them are nieces and that boys should know too.
Yeah.
And so part of it was, I didn't want them to ever feel like they went through something, they couldn't talk to me. And so part of it was I just felt like I needed to be that role model for them, as hard as it is to talk about. And I remember my niece, Alexandra, who's my first niece, she's now 26, I think was one of the first people that reached out, not on Instagram, but texting me saying, Aunt Cate, I can't believe you went through this and thank you for sharing and I love you. And that's why we do these things. That's why we should be sharing, because you can give people hope, you can give people comfort. You can also just create a forum when it is truly not filled with hate for people to have these conversations. And I think that really has also led me to my journey with Luminary, to be able to have real talk conversations with no fear of repercussion.
Yeah.
And feeling like there's a safe community around you to be able to talk about the tough things.
Did that surprise you that this thing that was so hard for you to go through, to share with family, when it comes to the wider public, I don't know, it feels like that's almost the easiest at that point? It's like a weird thing where you feel like there's this thing you have to hide, but yet it's the thing that is most connecting for other people that kind of invites them in. Did you have a reaction to that?
Yeah, I think I one way it's like the easy way out.
Yeah.
I don't have to have individual conversations.
Yeah, because that gets exhausting.
It gets exhausting. You have to relive it over and over. So here, I'm going to just do it one time, and I'm happy to have the conversation after the fact.
Yeah.
But then it didn't also feel so, who didn't I tell? Who did I tell? And I remember people saying, I can't believe you never told me. It's like, I didn't tell anybody. So please don't take offense to that. Again, that's on them, not me. Even when I when I announced that I had breast cancer in 2022, I didn't tell many people. I needed to go through my own things.
First yourself.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then it wasn't until my oncologist said, you need to share your story because people listen to people.
Your oncologist said this?
Yes.
Your oncologist is like a therapist
my
too?
oncologist, my breast surgeon, I said, oh, Dr. Port, can you come and speak to Luminary about getting mammograms and all that? She said, no, because no one listens to doctors. They listen to people.
Yeah.
And if you share your story.
And doctors aren't people, we know.
No, but you know what I mean? Yeah. And so I was like, oh, I don't really feel like putting this on Instagram. And my team sort of knew.
Yeah.
There were very few people. And I just said, okay, I'm going to just rip this Band-Aid off.
Yeah.
And it was, again, overwhelming. And the overwhelming response was less from women, but more from men.
What did they say, or what did you hear?
Oh, I'm going to call my mom this second and make sure she's getting a mammogram, my wife, my sister, my aunt. And then people started sending me emails and texts. I set up my mammogram. I'm getting my ultrasound.
Yeah.
It was more of a PSA than don't feel bad for me. I'm moving through this. I'm in the best city in the world for medical care in New York City. But here's what I learned.
Yeah.
And don't be a cautionary tale.
Isn't it remarkable how people apply it to their own lives? I mean, it makes sense in retrospect, but in a weird way, did you feel like this wasn't even about me? I just became a conduit for people to think about how does this apply to me taking care of myself and my loved ones taking care of themselves. People pretty quickly apply it to themselves, which makes sense. But in some weird way, we feel like it's about us, and then you share.
I think
you realize it's not even about us. It's
totally
like we're just like a vehicle for the message.
It's a vehicle for the message, yes. And I think from that to other things in my life, I think that's always been. I want to have a call to action.
Yeah,
it goes back to that mentor that was like, you want to have impact, and I think for me, talking about the breast cancer, talking about the assault, and other things that I've dealt with, is this call to action to get people. I struggled with infertility for many years, lots of IVF, and I share every year about this because we have to normalize it. And the personalization that people feel. They don't know, some of them know me, some of them don't, but I've gone through this. And sometimes it's just people wanting to get out their story too and feel like someone's listening. And if I can create that, then, my work is done. You're
incredible. I just got to say that right now. Tell me about friendship over the years. What was the role of friends in these journeys that you've been on? I mean, you've been through so much hard shit. And, at some point we do get to a place in our lives where it's not just our mom who is our support system. You're living in New York. You go through this breakup in your early 30s. You're dealing with processing this assault that happened to you. Did you have friends helping with that outside of your therapist, or what was the...
So I'm more of the listener friend.
Okay.
So I have many friends that will text my mom and say, can you tell me how she's doing? Because she just checks in and she just sort of like skirts over the how's everything else going for you. One, I'm a tough love kind of person. So not everybody wants to hear
wants it.
Right. So, and that's fine. But I also am still that person that's like, I just got to keep moving forward, move through. I like to deal with things my way, and I like to be the listener. I am a problem solver, and so I have to problem solve.
Would you say you're like a net giver, friendship-wise?
Yes.
And then on the tough love side, who are you the recipient of tough love from?
Oh, my dad. There's a lot of my dad that I hear in my head over and over. And I will carry that with me forever.
What's one of those sound bites from your dad that either plays on loop or that you think of every now and again?
So we're a Nike family.
Okay.
And I love Phil Knight. So just fucking do it, right? Like just get out there and do it. Like what's the worst that can happen? And also you're going to plan and you're going to practice and you're going to prepare. I mean, after every basketball game in high school, I went back with the car and the headlights and shot free throws.
So it wasn't just soccer; it was also
No,
basketball.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Describe Luminary a little bit.
Oh,
Like,
sure,
what's the
sure.
business model? Tell us about some of the specifics of what you do.
Started in New York City as a physical space where it's a membership community, but it's a join now, so there's no application process by design. But it's a true community, and it's really about coming together for content, for programming, for connection. And so we do, and we have done for the last 6 years, 20 plus events, workshops, programs every single month. We like to
20
say
a month.
A month. There's a program for everyone. So whether you're looking to figure out how to rewrite your LinkedIn profile or get a job or a raise or start your business or have a vision board, we really crowdsource all of that information and from the community. And so in the first year, 2019, it was all done in our space in New York, 15,000 square foot space, amazing. And pandemic hits. Now, we also had a B2B model, and we still do, and that's a big part of our business. But
Can we pause 1 second?
Yeah.
So you open a physical space.
Yes.
And how does this work? So you got corporate members and you've got people that are directly members.
Yes.
How
So
did
you have
you figure that
individual
out?
members, and
'Cause it's unusual to have like the B2C and the B2B2C. How did you figure
that was
that out?
always part of the business plan.
Okay.
So coming from where I came from in banking,
Yeah.
right? You had employee resource groups and affinity groups, and those were great. So a women's network, right?
Yeah.
And you wanted to feel like you were part of a community.
Sometimes great and sometimes not so great, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I also wanted other perspectives, and I didn't want to just have it for people in finance because
Right.
we're all going through the same thing. So I recognized early on that you could bring people together that didn't have to have anything to do with each other and still learn and connect, and you never know where that could go. Plus, there are so many skills that we're building kind of consistently over time that are applicable no matter what. So if you're an entrepreneur or I'm in finance, these transferable skill sets are important, and we just forget that we can apply them in different ways. So with the corporates, with the enterprise partners, it was about giving them access to all of our programming, the space.
The space for their people to come.
And come and connect and come to events, right? They're not putting on 20 events a month. And so really giving them that optionality, but then also connecting to other people. And when the pandemic hit, one of our biggest partners was UBS. And they said, well, can any people join now because you're now online? And that's exactly what we did.
And was that an aha for you, or was that also part of the plan?
No, I had no digital as part of our business plan.
Okay.
Thanks to the pandemic, it was the best thing that really ever happened to the business, because then I went to UBS and JP Morgan and Goldman and others and said, hey, your people that are working from home, they can now join all of these sessions because they're all online. And it doesn't matter that they're in New York. They can be in Columbus. They can be in London. And because we did workshops and we did training and development, that we still do, that's a big part of the business. That became a much bigger part. And then the individual members, they realized that they could join, in that early part of the pandemic, everyone was joining virtually. They wanted to come back into a space and they wanted it in real life. And so now we have a model where everything that we do in our New York facility or our New York space, if it's an event, we live stream it to our digital audience and then we record it. And then we're in Chicago like this, and we'll do in-person events. And then we have some events that are 100% virtual. So we have to meet people where they are. And so getting the information from the community around what they want to hear about, doing the same thing that with the companies that we work with and for, understanding what their employees want to engage on, and then we deliver that content back.
And so who was the first enterprise account you got? And was it the first firm that you approached? What was that conversation like?
So there's a debate about this.
Okay.
But I believe it was technically Heidrick and Struggles.
Okay.
But we also had a nonprofit, which is also an enterprise company, Girls Inc.
Okay.
And they're still a partner, so is Heidrick.
And were you doing the conversations? And what did you say? How did you know how to position it? How did you know how to price it? Did you work that out?
Because I had worked in corporate for so long, I knew I had been in their people's shoes. I knew what they wanted. I knew they wanted to connect. I knew they wanted not just a women's network that's part of it, or the Black network or the Hispanic network. but I also knew the topics that I was seeing that I was interested in, but also the people that reported to me,
Yeah.
right? Because I had all these people from just starting out to those that, all the way up through their career. And so I said, there's got to be a great way to bring content differently to these people and do it in a physical location
Yeah.
where they have this phenomenal space and all of these amenities. And it's like it's the third place, right?
Yeah.
It's your home, your office, and then the third place. And they bought into that, and they thought this is, and they still do, but a great option for their people to be able to come to outside of the office. This is, remember, pre-pandemic, so everybody's going into an office, and they could come and take advantage of that space and have meetings and meet people. And by the way, many of those use that as business development to meet potential clients and get new clients. And we say all the time, you never know who you're going to meet at Luminary, online or in our space. And so we just maximize the hell out of that.
And what about the direct to consumer piece? Like, how did you price that? What do you charge? Can anyone join that? Is it just women and diverse populations, or how does that work?
Yeah, we've always been gender inclusive. That's been a big part of who we are, because I didn't get to where I was just because I was a woman or just had women around me. I had incredible, and still do, male mentors and sponsors and advocates. And I believe firmly that if we want to make change in this world and this society, we've got to do it as a collective. It's not going to be
in an echo chamber.
Exactly. And it's not going to be just women or just men. We got to do it together. That's how the human race was designed to work.
Yeah.
So we've always been gender inclusive. We skew obviously heavily female because of who I am.
Of course.
But I
like
love
80% or 90 or 70?
It depends. On the individual B2C membership, probably 75, 80.
And what does that cost?
It starts at $49 a month.
Okay.
It goes up to $299 a month, and there's 5 membership tiers. And that at that higher level, it's when you really want to access the physical space and have
That's if I'm in New York, because your only physical space right now is in New York.
But then we have 40 partner spaces,
Oh,
45 partner spaces around the world.
Okay.
That's part of our reciprocal membership. And that's
if I have a
benefit.
membership in another city, then I can go to one of those partner spaces.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. So I don't have to go get a much more real estate and all these leases.
Yeah.
And all of those businesses get to build their own businesses their own way too. So tomorrow we have, I don't know when this is airing, but we have a great event for Luminary Live in Chicago. And every time we go to a city, if we have a partner space in that city, we try and host an event at that partner location.
Okay. And you have a great couple coming in tomorrow to do.
Yes. Yeah. You have a great couple coming in tomorrow.
And so let's go back to the personal side a little bit. You've had quite the relationship journey. You started with talking about the breakup, then you were married, then you were divorced. Now you've got a great partner.
Yeah.
What would you share to someone, who's kind of starting that journey or who's in it? A single person. What have you learned about who to partner up with, how to meet them, how to figure out if they're the right person for you?
So much. So I'm a later stage founder and a later stage that found, I think, the partner that I'm supposed to have in life.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad that I waited.
How old were you when you met him? Or maybe when you met him and when you started dating?
When we started dating, 43-ish.
Okay.
40, yeah. And so it's been about 7 years. And there's a couple of fundamental things for me is the respect level.
Yeah.
I respect what he does. He respects what I do. I truly feel like he is outside of my parents, my biggest champion, but he is not going to placate me. He's going to tell me the hard stuff.
The tough love thing.
Absolutely. And I need that. I need that to keep going. And that actually gives me more drive that's why I've told you this before. I love having a coach. I love having a boss because that's what drives me. I want the constructive feedback so that I get better. And I think.
And did you not have that in previous relationships, or?
I don't know if that. I don't think there was a level of respect there. I think definitely didn't. There wasn't someone that made me want to do better.
Respect from you or for you?
For
or
me.
both?
For me. But I think definitely for me. And that's a shame, right? Because you spend all this time with someone, you hope that they respect you.
So how do you know? Let's say you're in the first year of a relationship and you're trying to figure it out. How do you know if someone respects you? Or what are the What are the
Oh,
signs or the signals in
oh,
retrospect that you might have paid attention to or didn't notice or glossed over?
when they make everything only about them.
So 92% of men. I'm kidding.
Yeah, I mean, no, because Joe is not my partner. He's not like that. I think, and part of that is, I think, people live lives and they learn from their mistakes. But I think if you see a red flag, it's probably going to always be a red flag.
Yeah.
If the person shows you who they are the first time, believe them.
Yeah.
Right. And I didn't see that. I think focused on I want to find love and I want to find a relationship.
Yeah.
And listen, there were good parts of that relationship,
Of course.
but it was not the relationship that was meant to be for me. And I'm so very happy that
Yeah.
that relationship ended. And I think for anybody that's looking to find that partner, whether it's love or friendship, is you have to be able to show up as your worst self and your best self. And they're going to love you for it no matter what. And they're going to give you the grace through that to show up as the bad person or the crappy person or the person that didn't listen about what your plans were last night, to the hard times where you're crying and you're going through the shit and they're there. And that's what I have today. And I couldn't have built Luminary without that.
Let's talk about that. So maybe what are those moments where Joe was a great cheerleader and champion for you and was manifesting that respect, and maybe another moment where you were showing up with that like quote unquote worst self, and maybe that was having a negative impact on him and how he handled that. Tell us about those highs and lows on the relationship.
So no offense to my parents here, but because this is Joe's the kind of little trigger for me. So I am very much like my dad, and my dad is a relentless, driven, competitive, tough, and my mom is the nurturer and the caregiver and the supporter. And so when I'm going down too much of that one or the dad path, my Joe will say, okay, right now we need a lot less Pat. That's my dad's name.
Yeah.
And a little more Beth. Now, the first time he said that to me, I wanted to rip his head off. And then I took a step back to kind of digest what he said, and he was right. I was just, sometimes I can be 100% my dad, where I don't even know where my mom is and all of that. And he brings me back to reality. But the other thing that he does is, someone asked me early on when we were dating, like, why do you like him? I said, because he doesn't let me get away with anything. He holds
you accountable.
Exactly. And I think that in a partnership,
how does he do that? How do you hold someone accountable?
He just calls it like he sees them.
Okay.
He will absolutely, he's very nurturing and he's very giving and he's such a supporter. But when he sees bad behavior, he's going to say it. And there's often times when I'm so in it that he has to sort of pick my head up physically and say, life is still good. I get it. You're stressed, but you can't let everything consume you because you've got this going on and this going on. And I need that. Otherwise, I will be, like I said earlier on, I'm all in. So I can let it overtake me to the point where it's not healthy. And he's really good. I might not think of that in the moment.
I was going to ask if you can receive it in the moment or if
sometimes.
it takes a day or a week or a month.
Sometimes take a little more time. But he's very good at being able to do that. And I think he's very perceptive, and he's seen how I grew up and he sees how my parents are. So he's able to kind of think about who I am in that moment. And he can really focus in on the problem. He's so intuitive that way. And he also knows that I'm a carer and I'm a giver and so it's not, we say this, it's 50-50, but it truly is when it's not always 50-50, but when it counts, it's that 50-50. And I hope he thinks and knows that he can count on me at all times too.
Sounds like you found that friendship in a partner.
Oh, best friend by far. I could tell him anything. And
how'd you meet him?
We worked together.
Okay. Yeah.
And it, the friendship just turned into really a relationship. And you realize it, I think for someone like me, I've never really had to do the crazy dating scene. And because I love building relationships.
Yeah.
And so that was a friendship that, over time just turned into a relationship.
I know we got to wrap up soon.
Yeah.
I got one more question
Yeah.
about that. If you are in a friendship and it feels like it could be more, what do you do? Or, how did that happen?
I think you got to go with your gut.
Okay.
I am a gut person at all
And you
times.
say something, or you
Say
share 2
something.
bottles of wine one night, or what's the?
I think
Who said what to who here?
it was over drinks, and
Yeah.
there was no like moment that it was like, oh, we're now. It just sort of evolved from talking and realizing there was a lot in common in how we grew up, and
Right.
again, that respect level from a professional standpoint. That
But at some point, you go from never having made out
yeah
to
to
making
then,
out.
yeah because
So how does that?
so I will share. My sister-in-law, my brother's wife. I remember saying to her, I feel like this could be turning into something,
Mhm.
but he's like my friend. And she said, that's the best kind.
Mm.
And then I just kind of let it go.
Yeah.
It was like, I can't, I'm an overthinker. So I just couldn't overthink. And if it went somewhere, and it did, and now here we are 7 years later, and it's the love of my life.
Cate, you're the best.
Oh, likewise.
Thank you so much for this time. If you're out there and you want to become a Luminary member, where does someone go?
weareluminary.com.
weareluminary.com, and on Instagram.
We Are Luminary. TikTok, We Are Luminary. We're on LinkedIn.
And you're on LinkedIn.
And I'm
People
on LinkedIn.
can follow you on LinkedIn.
Yes. LinkedIn is and LinkedIn you will hear thought leadership and what I'm passionate about. On Instagram, you will see my niece and nephews, my cats, and my fashion.
I love it. So at We Are Luminary on Instagram. Want to thank our sponsor, which is my company. Follow us at Pi. And we hope you like this, and we'd love to see you again next time. Cate, thank you so much.
Thank you, Andy.